Welcome back to Attacking Third, everybody. Darian Jenkins, joined by McCall Zerboni. All right, Call, we are going to break down our preview of Canada versus the U.S. Women's National Team. They played this week, and Canada has a really strong team. It's been competitive. The last couple of times the U.S. has played Canada, if you remember, W Gold Cup, it was basically like they were swimming. The ball wasn't moving. 2-2 draw, goes to penalties. Crazy. Yeah, absolutely insanity. And then also in the She Believes Cup final, also ended 2-2, went to penalties with the U.S. coming out on top. U.S. and Canada have been intertwined for a really long time. A lot of the players play in the U.S., a lot of them now going to play in the Northern Super League. It's a very intertwined national teams, and I'm really looking forward to this match. But Canada had a little bit of a fiasco with Dronegate. But to me, I think the women have handled it incredibly well. And I actually think we've seen sort of an evolution of this team. You know, Casey Stoney is now the head coach. You guys don't remember, former player, absolute legend on the pitch, went to coach San Diego, debut season, did incredibly well with them. Was let go, but then picked up by Canada. They're very lucky to have her. And it's just been a big change. Sinclair has retired. There's change of the guard. But how threatening is this Canadian women's national team, McCall?
Canada has been like our long-standing sister nation, but the sister that you compete against with on everything. You know, we're just like our neighbors are there, our sisters, but like, you know,
you're not going to beat me.
No, you're not going to beat me. And, you know, we have historically always had the upper hand on that match. And I think that they're always trying to chase us, and we're that barometer of, you know, where they need to be. But, you know, like over half their players play in our league, and, you know, we're very familiar with them, which is helpful in the scout going into the game.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're still bouncing back from a really gnarly thing to happen to them. I mean, their coaching staff, unbeknownst to the players, were spying on other teams during the World Cup, and they got – I feel bad for Sink. Think about Sinclair. That was her last ever World Cup that she ever play in. And then they basically got evicted from the tournament because of things that the coaches were doing, trying to cheat and I understand that could leak into the locker room. That can make you feel some type of way about your federation. It can give really icky vibes that you have to bounce back from. So these friendlies, I think, are very important for Canada to put their best foot forward and start getting a more positive mentality about their federation and just changing the narrative moving forward. So I think they're going to come out strong in this game against the U.S. because this is a chance for them to put a staple on it.
I agree. I think the whole Dronegate fiasco was really tough, but we covered it a lot in studio on Attacking Third when this happened. And I thought the way that the players Olympics drone scandal. I think that the way that the players handled it was so impressive. They just said, you know what? It's us against everybody. Sure, we're docked points, still made it out of their group. They were absolutely threatening. I thought that they played some of the best football we've seen Canada play in a really long time. Usually they played suffer ball, and it looked like they were actually building and getting the best out of the players that they had.
Tough in the Olympics. Yeah,
their Olympic really tough.
Kind of tough. So I thought they did a good job, and I think they're still trying to build on that. And, you know, I do feel bad for them in a way because they are always second best to the U.S. and then something like that happens. But Casey Stoney is a brilliant coach. You know, we've been able to see her at the Wave and everything there, and what she's done overseas as well. So I'm excited because she's really going to flip the script for them.
No, I completely agree. Some of the players on Canada that I'm looking out for that I think could be really lethal against the U.S. Women's National Team is Vanessa Gilles, for one. I played with her in Bordeaux. I think she is a stellar center back. She's a big tackler. Her distribution is incredible. How lethal she is on set pieces, to me, is getting up there with Wendy Renard, who she played with at Lyon for a long time. Like, if it's not Wendy, it's Vanessa. And that's something that I'm actually really looking forward to this game because I think it's going to be the biggest test the U.S. has needed for some time.
I'm glad you're highlighting her because the difference between Ireland's backline and Canada's backline is going to be heads and tails more competitive. Goals that we've been scoring, these last 8 goals that we've scored would not pop off as easily against Canada. So we're really going to have to refine ourselves in the final third. Quicker decision making. Like, there was some times today that we had an open window to shoot, but we took an extra touch or we're just slow in our decision making, that will get super closed down by Canada because they're just better in the back and have more experience. So it's going to be
not afraid to be physical.
It's going to be hard to score goals against them for sure.
Yeah. I think the biggest difference, like when I'm looking at the U.S. front line going against the Canadian back line, whatever that may be, you know, they have some really big standout players that played in the NWSL, some in the Northern Super League, a lot in Europe, is that it's going to be physical.
Yep.
U.S. isn't going to have the freedom to run around just as much and take time on the ball because you're going to have to respect defensively what Canada is going to do and how they're going to build out of the back. I don't think the U.S. had to fully be worried about what Ireland was going to do building. But just your experience, because you were with the U.S. Women's National Team, when you play a team like Ireland where the level's much lower, then you jump into playing a team like a Canada who's up there in the FIFA World Rankings. How do you get used to that big jump going into the next match?
Well, so how do you think Emma's going to approach this? Do you think she's going to put her best lineup out there against Canada?
I think so. I think we're going to see a mix of both. I think maybe the only change would be Lynn Biondolo into the starting 11. I think maybe Cooper would come out because that's such a different, that leadership I think is needed against a team like Canada. And Lynn brought it today.
Totally. I'm excited about that to see who she puts out there because I think it will be an indication of who she thinks her strongest 11 are at this moment. But when you are a player and you're going into that, you know that there's going to be a jump in talent and competition, and you're meant to approach every game the same way. Your mentality, your approach, your preparation, all those things. But you're obviously studying your opponent and they play differently. And so you're going to have to add new elements and layers to your game because maybe what you did against Ireland isn't going to work against Canada, whether it be their formation, whether it be the talent they have in certain positions and pieces. And so you've really got to do a lot of mental preparation of think that, you know, what kind of game do you want to have against a particular opponent?
Well, when you're talking about she's got to throw out her best 11, who do you think made a case to be in that best 11 from the first two matches?
Well, I agree with you, Biondolo. Sam Coffey. You can see as soon as they came into the match, like the tempo
electric
increased. It was like they lit everybody else on fire around them as well. Like, okay, ladies, like let's step it up now, you know? Yeah, for me, it's Girma, Coffey, Lynn in that spine. And then Alyssa Thompson for sure.
Yeah.
I love Michelle Cooper. I think she is better at crossing than Emma Sears right now. She can really pick somebody out. She doesn't waste as many possessions when we're in that final third because it always connects with a player. So I'd love to see her there. And then, you know, the rest is up to Emma, but those are the 4 or 5 I would say that are standouts that I want to see go again. And obviously if Rose is able to start again, I think she's our best 10 right now.
I agree. I was going to say Rose Lavelle. The other player I'll add is Avery Patterson. I think she made such a clear case for herself in the first match against Ireland. I thought she balled out. She added such a different level. Talk about a player that came in and had that buzzy energy that Lynn has as well, but from such a defensive position, like somebody that can break lines against Canada by dribbling, I think is going to be key because Canada's front line is also incredibly talented. We're very familiar with Adriana Leon, Nichelle Prince,
Sonas
can come in. Evelyn Vian, who you've played with.
Yeah.
They have a lot of talent. So it's going to be a really good juxtaposition from what we saw against Ireland to Canada. But before we go, McCall, give us your prediction for this match. We all kind of hate doing it, but we have to do it. What do you think is going to go down in this Canada versus US match?
I think it's going to be 3-1. We're going to win. US is going to take it. But we're going to be challenged in the back for the first time. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I actually agree. I think I'm going to say 2-1. I like the high scoring though. I'm with the high scoring.
I think if we put our best 11 out there and then our next best, say we use 3 subs on our front line also, I mean, we are just pummeling them with defending all game because we have so much attacking talent. So that's why I think we'll definitely get 3 goals.
No, I like that. I feel confident in your prediction. McCall's probably going to be right. Everyone in the chat, let us know what you think.